is a sound I love to hear, is the sound of the Savior's robe as he walks into the room where people pray. When we hear praises, he hears faith. There is a sound I love to hear, is the sound of the Savior's robe as he walks into the room where people pray. Where we hear worship, he hears faith. Oh, he hears faith. Awake, my soul, and sing his praise aloud. Sing his praise aloud. Oh, wake my soul and sing his praise aloud. Sing his praise aloud. I'll sing your praises. It's the sound that changes things, the sound of his people on their knees. Awake up, you slumbering, it's time to worship him. Awake my soul and sing his praise aloud. Sing his praise aloud. Oh, wake my soul and sing his praise aloud. Sing his praise aloud. And when he moves, and when we pray, we're soon to all now stands away, where every promise is amen. And when he moves, make no mistake, the vows of hell begin to shake. Oh, hail the Lord, oh, hail the God. Hey, let the kingdom reiterate. Fall down on your knees and worship him. Let his praise rise up, don't hold the Awake my soul and sing his praise aloud. Come on, from wherever you are this morning, let's sing it out. Oh, wake my soul and sing his praise aloud. Sing his praise aloud. Oh, wake my soul and sing his praise aloud. Sing his praise aloud. Oh, wake my soul and sing his praise aloud. Sing his praise aloud. Be still my heart and know you are God alone. Stop thinking so much and just let go. Be still my soul and rest. Humbly I confess in my weakness, your strength is perfect. For you alone are God, there will be no other, and you have won my heart more than any other. So I will give it all, 'cause you gave it all for me. Yes, you gave it all. Oh, you gave it all. I will give my all, 'cause you gave it all. I will give my all. Be still my heart and know you are God alone. Stop thinking so much and just let go. Be still my soul and rest. Humbly I confess in my weakness, your strength is perfect. For you alone are God, there will be no other, and you have won my heart more than any other. So I will give it all, 'cause you gave it all for me. Oh, you, so you alone are God, there will be no other, and you have won my heart more than any other. So I will give it all, 'cause you gave it all for me. Yes, you gave it all for me. Oh, you gave it all. Oh, you gave it all for me. Yes, you gave it all. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, cries out. All that is within me, praise. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, cries out. All that is within me, praise. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, cries out. All that is within me, praise. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, cries out. All that is within me, praise. All that is within me, praise. I will praise your And I will never, never look back. I will never, never look back. I will never, never look back. 'Cause you gave it all for me. I will never, never look back. I will never, never look back. I will never, never look back. 'Cause you gave it all for me. I will never, never look back.
2 Corinthians 9:7 and 8 says, "You must each decide in your heart how much to give, and don't give reluctantly or in response to pressure, for God loves a person who gives cheerfully, and God will generously provide all you need. Then you will always have everything you need and plenty left over to share with others." Your generosity allows Newsoul Ribera to produce and broadcast services to people in need of hope. And your giving helps provide a way to keep meeting together online during the COVID-19 crisis. You are also helping to provide food and other essentials for people in the valley. We have 2 quick and easy ways for you to give. By mail, Newsoul Church Ribera, 7311 Glen Rio Road Northwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87121. Or you can give online, newsoulribera.com. That's newsoulribera.com.
Hello, Newsoul Ribera. It is wonderful to be with you again on this holiday weekend, and I hope you are doing well. You know, we are in the midst of this global pandemic, and for many of us, we felt that we would be done with this by now. I think early projections is when the weather got warmer, that the virus would, I guess, magically dissipate, according to all immunologists and other epidemiologists. Their speculations were that the virus would dissipate over the course of the summer months. But it has not. In fact, we are seeing record-breaking spikes all across the country. And what that does to us as we're in the middle of this is it creates more uncertainty. There's more uncertainty about our financial future. So many people who were looking forward to getting back to work are still not knowing whether that's going to happen. So your financial future is uncertain. There's uncertainty about school starting up and how that's going to work. That uncertainty is there. We are, in addition to this global pandemic that creates massive uncertainty and pressure, we are in the middle of racial strife and tensions at an all-time high. There's much good coming of it, but at the same time, there's a higher level of tension and stress about it. We are also in the middle of an election season to top it all off, where Republicans and Democrats and everybody else in between are calling each other names and yelling at each other, and both believing that the other is the worst for the country and that will be the end of American civilization as we know it. So pressure is at an all-time high. And when pressure skyrockets like that, it affects us, and it affects our mental health, and it affects our emotional health. And when we get like this type of pressure starts to reveal things inside of us. Maybe over the last few weeks or months, you have seen yourself getting more frustrated than you normally have. Maybe your temper is quicker, and you lose it more often than you have than before the quarantine happened. Rage is going on. Maybe there's road rage happening. Maybe you're victims of road rage, or maybe you're a perpetrator of road rage. So anger is at an all-time high. Anger is at an all-time high where you're feeling out of control and tense and stressed out. We're going to talk today for the next few minutes about taking control over what takes control over you. Taking control over what takes control of you. Jesus, we've been studying his message in the book of Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 21. And Jesus said, "You have heard it said to people long ago, 'You shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment.'" And I'll read that again. "You have heard it said, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, 'You shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. So I'm going to stop there and just say, for most of us, we consider murder one of the worst behaviors a human can have. It is the highest form of evil. Murder is right at the top of the list. And we as humans, we like to rank things, right? We like to rank things in sports. We like to rank things in politics. We like to rank pandemics. Was this pandemic worse than the flu pandemic in 1918? We like to rank things, and we like to rank sins. We would like to rank evil. And Jesus is saying, first of all, to his audience, you've heard it said by Moses. You heard that it was said that you should not murder. And then he says, but I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, Raka, which is Aramaic for idiot, is answerable to the court. And anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell. Jesus was equating anger and calling your brother or sister names or words of contempt or cursing them out. He equated that to murder. Most of us in our culture, like I said, we like to rank things. Well, Jesus is saying when you are angry, it is just as bad as murder. So let's dig into this. What is he talking about? What kind of anger is he talking about? Well, the people who he was speaking to, they were all good Jewish men and women. They went to synagogue. They heard the 10 Commandments. They respected Moses and the prophets. But what he was telling them is that it is possible to keep all 10 of the commandments and still be angry with people. Jesus was introducing to his audience and to the world, to you and I, something brand new. Murder is the symptom, the outer behavior. But misplaced anger in the heart is the root of all of this behavior that leads to murder. Most of us are good at monitoring our outward behavior, right? You're able to keep a job. You're able to go to school. You know how to behave in civilized society. You're able to keep your cool or project a certain image. You know how to wear a mask. But how good are you at monitoring your heart? You may not look angry. The people who know you at work, at church, in your small group, the people in the outside world who know, maybe friends of yours, acquaintance, may have an image of you that you've worked very hard to craft. Maybe people on social media. But the real you, the people who know you for real, is that the same person that is being projected to the rest of the world? Well, let's talk about the types of anger Jesus was talking about. First, anger itself is not a sin. Anger itself is not a sin. There is no human emotion that you or I have that, given to its extreme, cannot be used for good or for evil. James chapter 1, verse 19, this is the brother of Jesus. He writes, "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be slow to become angry." So Jesus isn't trying to tell you and I that we can no longer get angry. He's not saying that. That's not what he's saying. In James, it says you should be slow to anger. In fact, Jesus himself was angry. In the book of Mark, chapter 5, we hear the story of Jesus getting so angry at business people in church, in the synagogues, who were taking advantage of the spiritual hunger and the need for guilt and relationship with God of people who were in need. They were benefiting financially from that. And Jesus was so angry that he took a whip and knocked over tables and kicked them out of the temple. And he said, "My Father's house should be called a house of prayer, but you've turned it into a den of thieves. What he was saying is his anger, the anger that you should have, in fact, let me say it that way, there are some things that you have to be angry about. You should be angry about. There are some things that if you're not angry about, it is wrong. You should be angry when others aren't getting what they deserve, like food or shelter or justice in the world. You should be angry about that. That's how things are fixed. That's how wrongs are righted in the world. Even God gets angry. I call that anger crusader anger. That's the kind of anger you and I should have, and that's acceptable. That's not what Jesus is talking about. So there's two types of anger that are really destructive, and the first is extroverted anger. If you're an extroverted, angry person, you are very confrontational. You have no trouble letting people know what's on your mind or what you think. And if something bothers you, you spew it out all over social media. You get in someone's face and you tell them how it is. If you were an animal, you would be a skunk. You're not afraid of stinking up the whole place with your anger because something needs to be done. You're aggressive, manipulative, and you spray it everywhere to get your point across. Your anger causes exaggeration. You say things like, you always, and you never. And you say things that even after the heat of the moment has passed, the words that if you have said are so damaging and painful that even after the moment has passed, people still have a hard time letting go of the pain inflicted by what you said. There are some of you who are watching or listening that get an adrenaline rush when you argue or when you fight, and you love to push buttons to get a rise out of people. You know, some of you might be watching this right now and saying, that's just the way I am. I'm a Latina. I'm a fiery Latina. Or, I'm Irish. That's how all of us Irish men and women are. That's how my dad was. How my grandfather was. We're just passionate. We're very passionate people. And so you ignore it and overlook it and whitewash it as if it's not a big deal. Well, if it's something that you can't control and just part of your genetics or your DNA, then why is it that you're polite to strangers? And people who you don't know very well, they don't know you as an angry person. You don't act like that at work the way you do at home. You don't act like that at work. So you can't help it? Why is it that you tend to hurt the people that you love most and that you're closest to with your anger? That's an extroverted, angry person. Now, there's another type of anger. And sometimes this type of anger is even more dangerous than extroverted anger. With extroverted anger, you know exactly what you get because it's visible for everyone to see. But there's others of you that are introverted. Your anger is unexpressed. You might think of yourself as calm, cool, and collected. That people look at you and say, well, you never get mad. But the reality is you're frustrated. And the only reason why that you aren't letting people know how angry you are, how upset you are, is that you don't have the ability to articulate what you're feeling. You're unable to tell people exactly how upset you really are. Maybe it was something that happened to you as a child. Maybe something that an adult did to you or a church person did to you. It could have been some physical deformity or disability that you have, and you never have quite gotten over it, and you're angry. If you were an animal, you would be a turtle. Could be someone walked out on you. You're angry, but the way you deal with it is you avoid conflict. You hide up inside of a shell. You retreat into your shell. You avoid conflict. Your unexpressed anger turns into bitterness. And this is why it is so, so damaging, because it gets deep inside your soul. And people look at you, and when you're around, when you come in the room, the room changes because you sulk and you're salty and you pout, and people see it all over your face. You are discontented. You're unhappy with the world, and it's visible for all to see. For some of you, you don't even realize that your anger has turned into something else, like depression or stress or over-worrying about everything. It turns into eating disorders, or maybe cutting yourself, doing damage to yourself because of your unexpressed anger. There are some of you who are the victims of people with unexpressed anger, with these turtles, these introverted, angry people. And you know you're a victim because they have emotionally abandoned you. They may come home to you every night, physically, but they emotionally checked out 3 years ago. They left you 3 years ago. They're not there for you. They don't laugh at your jokes. They don't touch you with affection or make you feel safe. They don't pay attention to you. They don't listen to you. They have emotionally abandoned you. That's what an introverted, angry person does. They will deny the people around them something that they know that other person needs, like laughter, affection, or attention. That's how they control them. But the thing that's interesting is that skunks tend to marry turtles, as an aside. So why do we get angry? Why do you get angry? Well, anger comes out of you because it is inside you. Anger comes out of you because it is inside you. The conflict, the last time you got angry, that conflict did not cause your anger. All it did was reveal it. We are triggered to get angry about things we have no control over. That's why we get angry, because we don't have control over the situation. James 4, verse 1 and 2, this is Jesus' brother talking again. He says, "What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You desire but do not have, so you kill. You covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight." Wait a minute. What? No, I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is my ex. The problem is the president. The problem is this person or that person, this loved one, this family member, this person who hurt you, this person who abused you, this person who left you, this person you might be sitting next to right now who won't pay attention to you, just wants to argue with you and makes you feel like you're worthless. They're the problem. And Jesus is saying, no, that's not the issue. The cause of your anger, as long as you think it is a who, you will never be rid of it, because you don't get to the what. The anger issue inside of you right now is a what. It's not a who. What does it mean? Well, it means you're angry because you're not getting what you're sure you deserve. Life was supposed to go differently for you. You were supposed to be able to have a baby by now, or a house by now, or a great job by now. You should have been healed by now. Things should have changed for you right now. Things should be different for you financially or relationally or physically. And so you're angry. So you're not getting what you deserve. And you're thinking, the last time you were in an argument with somebody, I want you to think about this. How much time did you spend trying to get them to see things through your eyes? Well, guess what? They were doing the same thing. And as long as both of you are trying to get the other person to see things your way, you're both going to remain angry. Well, I earned it. It's not fair. They promised. They made a vow. You know what's happening? You know why you're so frustrated, angry, full of rage, and upset? Do you know why? because you're not getting what you want. If you have kids, or you had kids maybe in the last few years, and you remember breaking up fights in the back of the car, you have one hand on the wheel and one hand in the back, and they're fighting over a video game or the remote control to watch the videos in the back of the vehicle, or a sippy cup, or the bag of Cheetos, or a bag of fries, or whatever it is, and they're fighting, and you have your hand back and one hand on the wheel, and you're like, stop it. And they're like, they took it, it's my turn. No, it's not. You said after 5 minutes, and they're fighting, and you're telling both of them, enough. You're both wrong. Because the issue now isn't who's right and who's wrong and how fair it is and how fair it's not. Right now, the issue is you need to have peace with each other. And that's what your Heavenly Father is trying to get through to you and to me. That it's time to have peace with each other. The most important thing is that you don't live your life angry, because it's destructive. It's okay. I'm going to say something right now. This quote I'm about to say is something you have never heard in public school. If you went to college, if you read self-help books, if you watch videos on YouTube, if you've ever been to a self-improvement seminar, or you love self-improvement quotes in America, American culture does not teach you what I'm about to tell you. And that is, it's okay to not get everything you want or deserve. It's okay to not get everything you want or deserve. One of the reasons why we have such a violent culture is because we have been taught for the last 40 years that the goal of life is self-realization, which basically means the goal of life is to be yourself, be all you can be the best you can be. Don't let anybody stop you. Get all you can. Be everything. Don't let anyone stop you from being all that you want to be in life. Well, the problem is that if everyone is doing all they can to be all they can be, at some point they're going to run into other people. And our culture doesn't teach you that there is more to life than getting everything that you want or that you think you deserve. And that is why you get angry. Jesus, if you're a follower of Jesus, Jesus said no to himself so that he could give you what you needed most. You needed forgiveness. You needed healing. You needed mercy. You needed salvation. You needed restoration. And he said no to himself to give you what you needed in your life. Our culture, everything about our culture, and everything inside of you and I naturally pushes us towards self-centeredness and arrogance, to think that we are all that. And Jesus, he nudges you towards others-centeredness and humility, where it's not all about you. The more you live your life knowing that life is not all about you, the bigger your life will be and the better your life will be. So what about people who anger us? There's those of you who are watching and listening right now who are dealing with a child, a grandchild, maybe a family member, a loved one, that continually hurts you and makes you angry. And this may be someone who's involved in an addiction that is self-destructive, or a lifestyle that's self-destructive. And you're trying to help them, but the more that you try to help, the more they hurt you and inflict pain on you. And it hurts. First of all, many of you have heard this before, but it bears repeating. Hurting people hurt people. Hurting people hurt people. There was a time where you were hurting. And when you were hurting, in those moments, the moments when you needed love the most, you deserved it the least. Your behavior and your actions pushed everyone around you away. They pushed the ones who were trying to help you and do good in your life. You pushed them away. So remember that as you're trying to deal with people. It is the ones that around us that need love the most that deserve it the least. You have 3 choices when dealing with somebody who's hurting you like this. You can withdraw. You can say, forget them. Some of you may have said something else about them. But you withdraw from them. Just stay away. You know what? That's fine. Do your own thing. And you have. You've withdrawn your presence from them. Or you can attack. You can say, you know what? You want to go? Let's go. You want to spar with me to see who can verbally abuse somebody? I may have a few more years on you and more practice at verbal abuse than you, and let me show you how to attack and hurt somebody. But even if you win that fight, what have you won? There are some of you who are watching and listening right now that have lost relationships and burned bridges with loved ones, with people who you were really close to because of anger. Anger has destroyed those things in your life, those relationships. And you know the reality of life is that the quality of life that you have right now is dependent upon the quality of the relationships in your life. It doesn't matter how much you have, how much money, how much stuff, where you go. If you don't have great relationships with the people that are closest to you, it doesn't really matter. The quality of your life will suffer. Or number 3, your third choice is you can come close to somebody who's hurting you. Draw close to them. Insist on the truth. There are some of you who said, well, I don't want to draw close to someone like that because it means I'm approving of their lifestyle. Listen, they're going to live their lifestyle and do whatever they want, whether you approve of it or not. So it doesn't really matter. So the point is, if you draw close to them, you insist on the truth, saying, look, let's not pretend that what you're doing isn't going to hurt you or destroy your family or make you lose your job. Let's just be honest and real about it. We're not going to pretend that that's not really happening, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to stay away from you. And what you can do is absorb their anger. Those moments when they lash out, you just absorb it and you don't pay them back. Why? I want to encourage you to stay in their life. And if you've already left, try to figure out a way to get back in their life. Why? Because your presence is everything in their life. You may be the only chance they have to come back and to turn it around. Don't walk away. Don't abandon them. Your Heavenly Father didn't abandon you. So how do we apply this to our lives? Well, I'm going to ask you to ask some tough questions of yourself. You got to be honest. I'm going to ask you to ask if you have a family, maybe discuss these. I'm going to put these on the screen now, and I want you to take after this video is done, you can take a picture of it. We'll put them up on social media of these questions. I want to encourage you to ask these questions, discuss them with your spouse, with your family members, with your kids, your grandkids. Ask these questions. They're important questions. This is how we apply this to our lives. And first question is this: what is your relationship with anger? What is your relationship? If you don't know, ask your loved ones. What would your loved ones say is your relationship to anger? Question number 2, do you shout out or do you shut down? Are you a skunk or are you a turtle? Question 3, who or what are your triggers? There's some of you that you're cool everywhere else in life, but there's one person or one environment that triggers you. Number 4, are you ready to admit that part of the problem is that you're not getting what you want? So, before any change can happen in our lives, we have to have the humility and the courage to admit that our anger is an issue. We can't ignore it anymore. Jesus didn't ignore it. Jesus went right for it. Jesus brought it up. He listed it right there with murder. It is something God has a major problem with. He ranks it high. So this is an issue that you and I need to address. And if you're not ready to talk about it, I want to ask you why. And I want you to ask yourself why. Because any issue you can't talk about is already out of control. God gives grace to the humble. That means that you're honest and real. And he resists the proud. If you're a follower of Jesus, I want you to invite you to follow Jesus. Where is Jesus going? The book of Philippians chapter 2, verse 5 through 8. Paul writes, he says, in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Meaning that Jesus never powered up. Jesus had the right to come to planet Earth and tell everyone to sit down and shut up and listen to him because he is God. He is Jesus. And everyone needs to be quiet and listen to him. He needs to get the corner table, the best seat in the house. He never did that. He never powered up. He never used anything to his own advantage. And he never demanded that he got what he deserved. Jesus didn't come to get what he deserved. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. What does that mean? What is a servant? A servant is someone who lives to serve the needs of someone else. A servant is not interested in their own needs. They're interested in serving the needs of someone else. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. Death on a cross and death itself is the ultimate not getting what you want. The last thing in the world that you and I want is death. And Jesus was willing to die in order to give you what you and I need most. So, follower of Jesus, my challenge to you today, let's follow Jesus in this way and get rid of the anger in our lives. As we close, I'm going to encourage you to say something out loud that may seem silly, but I want you to remember it. So I want you to say it out loud. Say it to the person who's sitting next to you or across the table from you or next to you sitting in a chair. And I want you to say this. The next time you feel anger coming up, okay, like it always does, when it starts to come up, I want you to say this out loud. And I'm going to say it first and you say it after me, okay? You know what part of the problem is, don't you? I'm not getting what I want. Okay, let's do it together. Repeat after me. You know what part of the problem is, don't you? I'm not getting what I want. Let's try it again. I want you to imagine the next time you're in a fight with your spouse or some family member, if you say this to them, say, you know what part of the problem is, don't you? I'm not getting what I want. What are they going to say to that? That clarifies what exactly is going on, and that is why, that part of the problem, that's one of the reasons why you're angry. A message to couples. If you're in a relationship, you're a married couple, or maybe you're connected to people in a close relationship and you're with each other all the time. The next time you're angry, you're going to be tempted not to say what I just said. You're going to be like, well, I'm going to let them say it. I'm not going to say it. Well, that's pride. And you're probably old enough to know that pride has never done anything good for you ever in your life. So let me put it to you this way. Next time you're angry and you feel anger coming up and you want to say that, hey, you know what the problem is, don't you? I'm not getting what I want. And you're tempted not to do it because you want the other person to go first. The most mature person will go first. The most humble person will go first. And the most Christ-like person will go first. Today, as we close this, and if you are somebody who's never given your life to Christ, you've never crossed the line of faith, and you might not realize in your life that you have anger issues. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I want you to know that human beings on this planet have been angry at God for a very long time. Some of them may have been angry for even being born. And we know that because when Jesus came to earth, humans were so mad at God that when he finally became killable, we killed him. But the way that he dealt with it is that he absorbed our anger and he didn't lash out. In fact, not only did he take our anger, but he actually took the punishment we deserved for all the wrong we had done. And the way he responded is he said, Father, don't hurt them. Don't pay them back, but instead forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. And if you want to give your life to Jesus, let me lead you in a prayer. Just say, Jesus, I give you my life. Replace the anger with your love. Replace the rage with your peace. Fill me with your presence and fill me with your spirit. I give you my life. That's it. Well, as we close, contact, we want to hear from you. We want to stay connected to you. There's ways to connect with us. You'll see it on the screen when we close. I hope you have a wonderful holiday, a wonderful day with your family. Let me just speak a blessing over you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. And may he give you peace. I love you.